Thank you for taking the time to view this documentary. The topics I will be discussing are very disturbing and frightening. I'd like to warn anyone watching that this information is not only disturbing but extremely important. The implications of this information mean that children of very young ages could be in harm's way as you are watching this film. Please do whatever you can to help spread this information so this doesn't just get cataloged away like events in the past have, such as the conspiracy of silence, also known as the Franklin Credit Union scandal. Also accounts of children in Hampstead, England, which have all been forgotten, and little to no justice ever for the victims. The massive pedophilia rings surrounding Jemmy Savile in the United Kingdom. The revelations regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his child pedophile island. This lack of action by the authorities is only allowed because the information was downplayed and hidden by a media that, according to my investigations, is involved. All of these accounts, including Pizzagate, involve similar accounts of satanic ritual abuse, child pedophilia, and pedosadism, human trafficking, human sacrifice, and cannibalism by members of the highest levels of government, but also includes average people, for example, teachers in the education system. Making this film has caused me personally to fear for the safety of many children out there. I will continue to keep accumulating links and evidence on my Steam It blog post. I feel it was a moral obligation to share this information, and I could not just stay silent. If this is not enough information to force a legitimate investigation by a law enforcement agency of these people, then I don't know what would be. Please watch and understand that not all the information is 100% accurate, but this is the best I could do to filter truth from fiction in this case. I am not accusing anyone of being involved. I am merely asking for an investigation to be done by any law enforcement agency that has the authority to do so. Take care and please research all of this yourself. And I think the reason this is allowed to continue is outlined by Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati at the behest of the Rothschild family. And Adam Weishaupt states, monetary and sex bribery was to be used to obtain control of men already in high places, in the various levels of all governments and other fields of endeavor. Once influential persons had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Illuminati, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail, threats of financial ruin, public exposure, and physical harm, even death to themselves and loved members of their families. And I think that's what's going on here. This is the fourth branch's way, the banksters' way, to control politicians through blackmail. So now that new information has come up, we need to go back over all of this and compile all of the evidence that's been compiled on my Steam It blog and on the YouTube video and on my Twitter account since I posted the first video. So this all started when code words were found in the WikiLeaks emails regarding Wiener and Podesta. So in my first video on this subject, we went over some of the code words as they were all foreign to me. And some of these are still correct, and I think some of them need to be amended. So hot dog equals boy, pizza still equals girl, cheese equals little girl, pasta equals little boy, ice cream equals male prostitute. Walnut, I think, has a different meaning. I think it means term for immature vulva or a undeveloped vulva. So for like the genitalia of a very young girl. So these code words are important because these were all found in the emails of John and Tony Podesta, and they're also found, I believe, on the emails from Anthony Weiner. So it's important to remember these because this is how we're going to analyze the data. So this all came up when the FBI started reinvestigating Anthony Weiner's emails because of the sexual nature of his crimes. And also this image popped up regarding a possible abduction of a Madeleine McCann overseas, and this was the image of her captor, but there's lots of conflicting stories regarding this, and I'm not sure what to make of this, if this is just a fake rabbit hole or if this is something actually real. More investigations needed. Of course, the information in the police sketches are very damning, and no one has been able to refute any of this. So as far as I'm concerned, this does look like Tony Podesta, John Podesta, and Anthony Weiner are all connected to this girl's abduction, but, you know, who knows with all the disinformation that's out there. Just as a quick wrap up, here's a quick compilation of all the photos, and we're going to go over a bunch of these again in this video just for documentary purposes, but these are a lot of the photos that were found on Jimmy Comet's Instagram page. And there's obviously a connection here to the spirit cooking rituals that this guy's involved with. And as you can see here, that he probably does actually do the bloodletting, which is why his hands are all messed up. And this is just all very crazy. And a lot of the people that are in this little pedophile ring group of friends are all fans of Marina Abramovich, the person that, you know, wrote that on the wall behind Podesta there. Just real quick, an interesting photo that someone shared with me in regards to this is a lot of the presidents having, you know, band-aids and stuff on their middle fingers, and I don't know, I mean, who knows with this. This is just something interesting, I thought. I think the real damning evidence that people like Hillary and Obama are involved go to the fact that this guy Jimmy Comet was posting stuff like letters from Hillary thanking him, and pictures of Obama playing ping pong with a little boy that we'll get to later. And once again, this guy right here on the screen is very closely connected to Hillary and Obama. And as you can see on the wall behind him, it looks like that's some sort of cannibalism taking place. So this creepy looking dude right here has some very interesting emails that all contain pedophilia codes and involve a Comet Pizza Shop and a whole bunch of other people. So if you type in Podesta's emails, you'll go to WikiLeaks, and then you can search by term. So when you search by Comet Pizza, these emails show up, and they all involve pedophilia codes. When you type in handkerchief, another set of emails will show up that also involve pedophilia codes. And you can go on and on and on. Searching this guy's emails is a never-ending job for researchers like myself. So if you are watching this film and you haven't seen the first film I did on this, please go back and watch that. And I know the audio sucks on it, but I was putting that out there to document all of that stuff that I found so that people could help join me in the investigation, so that this film that you're watching now would be as good as it could possibly be. And the audio is fine on this film, obviously. So like everything that I make on YouTube, I posted it on my Steam It blogs, that it would be embedded in the blockchain and therefore forever in the blockchain and uncensorable. And I uploaded this on there also so that people could read replies. Also on the blog, it's a really easy way to combine a whole bunch of links and compile evidence, which made it very easy to compile all of this information for this film. And as you can see, I linked up all the people that we discussed in the previous film that I found were highly connected to Jimmy Comet Pizza, especially on Instagram, and all these people linked should be highly investigated by the FBI. So on there, the guy who put the article together about Andrew Klein left this comment, and almost all of it checks out according to what I looked at. Well, it all does actually, so let's just read it. The thing is, it actually goes way deeper than just pedophilia. That's just an easy angle that most disagree with. The real scandal and the real root of the problem is ritual sacrifice and cannibalism. The spirit cooking angle is really a warped version of thelemic OTO black mass. I'm not convinced about the code words. It's definitely code, but not how it's being presented. Look into the Cake of Light and its original preparation from Crowley's writings. It's a small disc smeared with blood of the moon and child. The original writings claim that the master magician should consume this daily. Then look into the massive amount of pizza places and pizza pack and past reviews that either absolutely love or absolutely hate the flavor of the food, and wonder why most of the higher ups in this little cult show clear signs of kuru. So I was like, what the hell is kuru? Kuru is a rare, incurable neurodegenerative disorder which was prevalent among the 4 people of Papua New Guinea in the 50s and 60s. Everyone has normal prion proteins found mostly in the brain. However, infectious proteins which cause transmissible spongiform encephalopathies disease, such as Kuru, can induce abnormal folding of the normal prion proteins, which leads to symptoms such as coordination problems and neurodegeneration. The term Kuru derives from word kuria or guria, to shake, due to body tremors that are a classic symptom of the disease. It is now widely accepted that Kuru has transmitted among members of the Fore tribe of Papua New Guinea via funerary cannibalism. Traditionally, deceased family members were cooked and eaten, which was thought to help free the spirit of the dead. Females and children usually consume the brain, the organ in which infectious prions were mostly concentrated, thus allowing for transmission of Kuru. Thus the disease is more prevalent among women and children. Of course, that description of Kuru immediately recalls my memory of this video of Hillary shaking. Now, everyone was wondering what health problems she might be having. Well, I never heard anyone bring up Kuru, which is a cannibalistic disease that's indicative of shaking and all these exact symptoms that you're seeing here on the screen. Is this the result of her eating, too much human flesh? This is absolutely disgusting. And as you can see from this photo here, Hillary has been to the area because she was at Terrasol, which is right across the street, and its logo is also listed on the FBI's known pedophilia symbols list. So it's another obvious homage to pedophilia, and look at her right there in the photo. Also, interestingly and very damningly, we have an FEC search which shows payments made to Elefantis from the Clinton campaign and pro-Clinton PACs, which ties her financially to James Elefantis directly. And interestingly, one of the people Jimmy Comet follows on Twitter and looks like is involved in all this Mary Kay lady, decided to tweet this out, which is an interesting quote by Hillary, considering she's connected to a child pedophile ring. Also, Ozbit Bank had talked about the Cake of Light, which was a part of the OTO's practices and put together by Aleister Crowley, I think it was. And here you can see the Wikipedia definition of it, and you can go look this up for yourself. And it also involves weird types of cannibalism, in my opinion. I think the whole block has an underground component. This fits past satanic cult cases. There's a specialist construction company in the block, which I researched and will get to later in the video. And there's evidence of James doing excavation work below Comet, unregistered. It is above an old abandoned station and tunnel system, and also within blocks of an OTO lodge and Prince Hall Shriners Masonic Lodge, which I did investigation on, and that's not actually true. We'll show you the Google Maps of where everything is later. David Brock is also integral to this. He needs a post of his own. I think more of Crypto Crowd may tune in if they realize it's the same David Brock of the Bitcoin Foundation. This already convicted pedophile is representing the community, the Bitcoin community. I touched on this lightly in the initial messy research dump, which you should see that link as well. And made a heap of notes but haven't published the Hawaii angle. We have multiple properties connected to a Biff Skipman of Cheesy Bay, an eBay account selling old hard drives for lots of money with lots of happy feedback. This is traceable to a property in Hawaii that is a heap of Wi-Fi points. Trace its ownership back and you end up at a trust, and that trust owns 10% of Goldman Sachs, as well as the local schools and a property connected to historic underground tunnel system. Don't forget the emails dreaming of your hot dog stand in Hawaii. So another really great article by Ozbit Bank was this one showing how Andrew Klein of the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit of the Department of Justice is connected to this because he owns Besta Pizza. And as he showed in his article before the scandal broke, Besta Pizza's symbol was the one on the left, which the FBI, according to their own symbols, says is a pedophilia symbol. And of course, once the story broke, Besta Pizza changed its symbol to the one on the right. And I confirm this because on Google Street View, on Google Maps, you can still see that Best of Pizza's symbol was the one on the left, the one before the scandal broke that shows child pedophilia. As you can see here, these are the official FBI pedophilia symbols. And every one of the stores on the street, basically, that's connected to this had one of these symbols as their logo, just as you saw with the Best of Pizza one, which is clearly the top left one. Also was found is this handkerchief code, and here's an explanation of that was posted on 4chan and copied to Reddit. And here you can see how that handkerchief code breaks down. So take note of this for the video as well. And the records clearly show that this Andrew Klein individual who works in prosecuting the exact type of people that would be running a pedophile ring for the Department of Justice actually owns this pizza shop that supposedly is a pedophile ring. Just want to give some recognition to Australian Bitbank, which is obviously what his name is referencing. And if you want, go give this guy a follow on Steemit and join Steemit so you don't miss information from people like this in this new community that's kind of like a new Facebook. So come and join us on Steemit and definitely give this guy a follow. So let's go over some of the people involved in this, the major players. Let's just go back over every one of them and how they are connected. So this individual you're looking at on the screen is James Alefantis, and he's listed as the 49th most influential person in DC, according to GQ magazine, probably because he's married to, or not married to, but partners with David Brock. And as the article noted, this guy is a extremist leftist. And it's emails like this one where people like Tony Podesta are conversing with James Alefantis using pedophile code words like, okay if I do a pasta, which means a little boy. And that's, blatant evidence that these guys are involved in a pedophile ring. Then there's other emails like this one where they're talking about how they raised over 40 grand for the Podestas and the Hillary Clinton campaign. And then he adds in, my only regret is, did I not make you a nice pizza when I can? And obviously this is code for pedophilia code regarding pizza. And to further cement that these guys are actually using pedophilia code, here's some of the artwork that John Podesta hangs up inside of his house. And if you can't see the obvious connection to child pedophilia and child pedosadism in these photos, then I don't know what else to show you. This is clearly signs that these people are into some very, very creepy stuff. Like, just ask yourself a question. If you saw these pieces of art hanging up in someone's house, would you then let your children spend any time there? Would you not be concerned about the children living there or interacting with this individual? Another piece of interesting art is a statue that Jimmy Comet put on his Instagram page and is seen here, and clearly shows a connection to a Jeffrey Dahmer victim. And this is a Comet pizza shop that he owns that has satanic symbolism right on the sign. And there was a comment on the YouTube video that this has some sort of connection to a vector symbolism. So James Achilles Alefantis is a well-known individual in DC, and he has connections to power brokers because he's boyfriends with David Brock, who is the founder of Media Matters. And Mr. James Lafont, his name in French is actually synonymous with I like kids. And this is a guy accused of running a pedophile ring. And he's well aware of this fact. Because, as you can see here on his own Instagram, he posted himself with a shirt on that says, I love infants, or I love kids, which is exactly what his name is a play on. So he was well aware of that. And Mr. Infant is a very strange individual who posts pictures like this on his pizza shop's Instagram page advertising a boom boom room where you're not allowed to have cell phone access. He also has pictures like this with random babies talking about how their cuteness is serious business, and therefore all the people commenting on this also need to be investigated, along with Jimmy Comet, who is posting these types of creepy pictures. And other than just emails, there's also photos from inside the Podestas home where Jimmy Comet went to serve dinner or whatever he went there to actually serve. And this picture is of a statue that represents one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. And there seems to be a strange Jeffrey Dahmer connection to all of this. And there's pictures like this on his Instagram page that reference the handkerchief code and all types of very strange comments on the Instagram feed. The same Jimmy Comet accused of running a pedophile ring has pictures like this on his Instagram feed with a baby holding money in its mouth. And if that doesn't scream investigate, I don't know what does. And he has pictures like this one on his Instagram, which are very disturbing, especially considering the comments where people like working on my night cheese put hashtag killroom, and obviously that name has significance because of the cheese connotation. It also makes emails like this one, last night was fun, and at the bottom, still in torture chamber by Podesta, very, very interesting. And it seems working on my night cheese makes solid welded caskets for smaller human beings, which is very disturbing. Another extremely disturbing photo on Working on My Night Cheese's Instagram, who commented on Jimmy Comet's Instagram and followed Jimmy Comet, and Jimmy Comet followed him, according to what people said on 4chan when they captured this. So basically this right here is another picture of a coffin for a small child, and if you consider what this guy's name means in the code, working on my night cheese means working on my night little girl. There's also this photo here of these individuals wearing these strange masks, and this looks like an OTO type ritual going on. That'd be Ordo Templi Orientis. This will also connect to another photo later that we'll discuss that I found through a series of connections. And as the person was tagged in the previous photo, I went and looked at My Barbarian, and interestingly, she is another artist type person who works with children, obviously, or has children. And she's also a activist for pagan rights and has a website. Just look up My Barbarian and you can look into her as much as you want. Another strange image on Jimmy Comet's Instagram page was this one, and the comment hashtag bird dogging, don't look it up or whatever. It turns out bird dogging is that same thing as what that 2 girls 1 cup video that was very disgusting that went around and was viral. Is the same thing as that is about. Another important connection here pointed out by Osbit Bank and Goy Orbison is the fact that George Soros gave $11,000 to Comet Pizza, and we actually have proof of that because as Osbit Bank put up on his Steemit blog, you have this right here, which is a tax return from George Soros's foundation, and right at the bottom you can see $11,000 to Comet Ping Pong. So this is a smoking gun that George Soros is connected to this group. And according to Osbit Bank and these links here, it wasn't just 1 payment from George Soros, it was actually 3, and all of those links are here, and you can find those on the Steemit blog, which makes this image on Jimmy Comet's page even more interesting considering it references London, and I actually found a whole bunch of other people connected to London regarding this group of pedophiles. And I also think I discovered another part of the code which has to do with the drugs you see circled. And here you can see from Urban Dictionary that oysters is another name for the drug Oxycontin. Okay, and keep that in mind as we go through some of the people connected, because you'll see a lot of oyster photos, including this creepy image from Bucks Camping and Fishing, the other business of James Alefantis, which is directly connected to this because it's literally right next to Comet Ping Pong, and he owns both. And right on there you can clearly see oysters, such as images like this by Rachel Chandler, who's directly connected to all this via the emails. So we'll get to her later, but I just wanted to show you one example we'll get to later in this video. And just to prove to you that Bucks Fishing and Camping is owned by Jimmy Comet, you can see here on the Jimmy Comet Ping Pong website, it says, "For more food and fun, check out our other restaurant, Buck's Fishing and Camping." And interestingly, in the bottom of this, it says global aspirations under Bucks, and that might be because this is tied into Beyond Borders, and this is an international human trafficking child pedophilia ring. Another extremely suspicious thing about CometPingPong.com is it has this protected private section that has stuff available to download, but you need a download password, and no one has been able to get into it yet. But this might be the smoking gun of child pornography being stored on their website. So even though Jimmy Comet made his page private, and a lot of the people that he's connected to made their page private as well, there's a bunch of different techniques that I was able to use to investigate and connect other people to this ring. Let me show you how I was able to do that. One way to do it was to click the suggested button, which gave you all these people that popped up underneath him, and then you could easily go into most of them because a lot of them didn't make their pages private, and you could find out that they were following Jimmy Comet and that he followed them. And because these people post a lot of the same type of images, you could actually research what they were posting and see the same types of stuff going on that Jimmy Comet was posting. And of course, there's other people like this Joshua Ryan V person who also posted lots of creepy photos, and you can do the same thing with him since his account still exists. And there's just so many rabbit holes and connections here that I'll try to get to as many as I could find, but it's just really hard to keep all this together. You need like a huge board with hundreds of names on it. And some of the images posted on 4chan that were taken from Joshua Ryan V's account, who works at Comet Ping Pong, made obvious references to the fact that this was more than just a pizza joint. Another damning photo by this Joshua Ryan V individual is this one here with two adults, it looks like, performing fellatio on top of a piece of pizza. Now, why would anyone working at a pizza shop post this and then say, "Come to Comet tonight"? It's just really damning from my point of view. Obviously, when you have employees of Comet Ping Pong putting pictures like this up, such as Joshua Ryan V did, it's definitely not just your average pizza shop for kids. This has very sexual connotations to this image, obviously. And another really damning photo posted by this Ryan V guy, this Joshua Ryan V, and on this, a cisgender says delete this, and he gets mad at him for it. And let's take a look at this cisgender. So the first thing I found on his thing was this, where a little boy falls and hurts himself by falling, and they overlap what sounds like demonic type noise over it. So that was really strange, just to kick things off on cisgender. Here's another Instagram photo of this guy, cisgender, and this is actually him, and behind him you can see a skeleton strangling or shaking or whatever a baby. And another strange post by this cisgender character of, what look like baby or young children dolls with "we have no names" and "buy and name us" on a bag. Another creepy photo I found on cisgender's thing was this one where an Easter bunny's holding an orange Easter, and basically the conversation is, "Happy Easter, little one," and the little girl goes, "Where am I?" And if that isn't creepy, I don't know what is. And the cisgender shows clear signs of being a Satanist and has stuff like this on his Instagram feed, the benefits of demon possession. And just with the recurring theme of another one of these individuals having something to do with the all-seeing eye on their account. And cisgender, like a lot of these people, has strange pictures of babies and things like that on his account with no explanation. And interestingly, the cisgender character is interested in the underground and is a fan of this movie Catacombs. And basically it says, "Below the city of light exists a world of darkness." And is this some sort of reference to the tunnels we talked about? Here's another really strange one I found on his thing, especially considering the ties between Marina Abramovich and people like this, person on the screen.
But of course, the one that absolutely takes the cake on cisgender's Instagram is this one, and I don't know who this is a photo of or what, but this is extremely strange, and there's no explanation for it.
Another good way to do this was to look at the photos that people had taken and posted on 4chan from Joshua Ryan V and Jimmy Comet, and basically you're able to look at who comments in the comment section, and then you can go look at their accounts to see if they're private or not. But if these people are commenting and using keywords like you see here, obviously they're worth investigating and adding to the list of connections. A good example of this would be this image here that Jimmy Comet posted where he said Hotard, referencing this baby. It turns out this baby, which was tagged to CC Woolman, might be her kid, and CC Woolman happens to be Corey Woolman, who used to work at Comet Ping Pong and now lives out in the Portland, Oregon area. I mean, there's just a plethora of evidence like this one where these two creeps put a slice of pizza over a small child's face and tagged it at Comet Ping Pong. So it's just another reference to creepy child pedophilia and sexual references in the pizza pedophilia code. More damning evidence against James Alefantis includes images like this one, where he's talking about a new seating section for kids at Comet Ping Pong, and he has a young girl tied down to a table with a man standing suggestively behind her and a ping pong table clearly visible in the background. Another image that Jimmy Comet posted is this one here, and you can just see that, obviously these are all types of strange references, and this is really strange for this guy to be posting. And of course, you can always look into the people that are commenting on it and things like that. So I looked at HK Liegs. But of course, this is another person directly connected to all this who has made their account private. So please feel free to go and try and get more information on this individual. Images like this found by users on 4chan and Reddit also are very disturbing, and I don't know why you'd be having a double sleepover at Comet Ping Pong, a pedophilia ring, and I couldn't find anything on this Alexandra Migoya. And another image that was posted by Jimmy Comet that 4chan completely analyzed is this one, where the guy put hashtag chicken lovers. That was Jimmy Comet himself, which means a pedophile if you look it up on a basic web search. And you can see the yellow bracelet there, which also connects directly to the White House, because you have these friendship bracelets that Joe Biden, Barack Obama were giving out to people, and you can clearly see right on here that there's a slice of pizza, and these were friendship bracelets they were giving out to little children that visited the White House, which is extremely creepy. You have emails from James Alefantis directly to Obama and members of the White House, and it connects that Politics and Prose store as well, which also has child pedophilia in its symbolism, and we'll get to them later. And also this is talking about doing a Obama fundraiser at Comet Ping Pong. You also have evidence that Obama had phone banks at Comet Ping Pong's location, and according to the whitehouse.gov, Alefantis James has been to the White House at least 5 times. You also have this image here on Jimmy Comet's Instagram that he posted, where Obama is actually playing ping pong with a young boy in the White House, and Jimmy Comet probably took this photo, which is extraordinarily creepy. Then you have this really strange email from the White House kitchen staff regarding Obama spending $65,000 to fly in pizza and hot dogs for a private party. And I don't know what type of pizza and hot dogs they're buying, but both of those are codes. And who spends $65,000 on that? And who flies it in from overseas? This is obviously code, and this is very damning information. Another email that I found that was really strange and seems to be referencing the same pedophilia hot dog code was this one from Nick Merrill. On a personal note, I just had 2 Coney Island hot dogs at the famous Lafayette Coney Island next to the hotel. I highly recommend. bring your defibrillator, or ask to borrow one from us. Really weird. And of course, there's emails on WikiLeaks from people like Tony Podesta talking about how they're doing private dinners for Hillary at his house with James Alefantis, which directly connects her to this all again, and we know the Podestas are fans of spirit cooking. Another really weird image that Comet Ping Pong put up was this one of members of the royal family playing ping pong with small children over in London, and all these members have been connected to Jimmy Savile and a whole nother pedophile ring that was exposed by Opta Theaters over a year ago. And it's not a stretch to say that this ties directly into Marina Abramovich, because Jimmy Comet posted this picture of her on his Instagram page as well. This now makes photos like this with Obama extremely creepy. And the next clip with Joe Biden is a very controversial clip, and in the previous video I put subtitles over it, but in this video I'm just going to play a version I found of a cleaned up version of the audio, and I'm going to let you decide what creepy thing that Joe Biden says to this young girl.
Thank you. Maggie, do you want to come over here?
Let's come over here. Come on, Maggie, make me look better. Okay,
Oh, perfect.
there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're a good girl.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a good girl.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a good girl.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a good girl.
Thank you.
All right, well, nice to see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a good girl.
Thank you.
I think Joe Biden's actions in that video are completely inappropriate, and I think what he said, no matter how you interpret what he said, was completely inappropriate. So he needs to be investigated along with Obama for this. And another good comment that was dropped on the Steam It blog that I'm running was by Globe Mixer, and he dropped a huge data dump of like a ton of links, including a whole bunch of videos, with this one being the Steve Pieczenik video talking about how U.S. intelligence officers are working a counter coup against the group of criminals surrounding Hillary Clinton to help take this country back from these complete psychopaths. And in that video, Steve Pieczenik claims that the WikiLeaks information is coming from U.S. intelligence officers and FBI agents and CIA agents that are working against the Clinton and Obama administration and waiting basically for Trump to take office in order to throw all these people into jail. It's an interesting video, and it goes to the point of leaks always come from government agents. These are always things that the government itself is always trying to leak out. It's not, normally that's how this type of information gets to WikiLeaks. And as I said, this Globe Mixer guy dropped a whole ton of links and videos and articles on my blog in the reply section. So if you want to go ahead and check out any of the links and things that he dropped, there's an absolute ton of them with tons of evidence. What you're looking at is all in one reply that I got from this one guy, Globe Mixer, all these links. And I will link the Steam It blog in the description of this video, and that brings you to all these links. So it's a giant rabbit hole for you to explore, and it's like literally never ending. Not only is there like 900 something followers of Jimmy Comet on Twitter to follow and check up on, all the Instagram connections, there's Facebook, there's the Yelp reviews, and there's all these links that were dropped and a whole bunch of links on my first YouTube video on the subject. It's just endless. So let's go over a big connection that Osbit Bank wanted me to cover, which is the David Brock connection to all this. As you can see from this email, Podesta is asking who owns Comet, and the reply is Brock's boyfriend owns Comet. So who is Brock? And David Brock just turns out to be this guy, James Alefantis' boyfriend. And David Brock also just happens to be the guy who was basically one of the founders of Media Matters, and also is involved in a whole bunch of other things like Bitcoin, and a lot of people associate with him with Bitcoin, and he's been a convicted pedophile in the past. And as you can see right here, this is obviously Brock, the David Brock that they're talking about, whose boyfriend, James Alefantis, owns Comet. Which would be why James Alefantis, who owns the Jimmy Comet Instagram page, would be posting a picture like this. And right here you can see an email from Tony Podesta to John Podesta about doing a David Brock book party. Yay or nay? And obviously they must be asking about this because of the other connections involved. And if you look at the David Brock Wikipedia page, it says David Brock was basically one of the founders of the liberal media watchdog group Media Matters for America. He has been described by Time magazine as one of the most influential operatives in the Democrat Party. So this guy is a key player in the DNC. And as the official Pizzagate Twitter account told everyone, Turkey's also familiar with David Brock because he's the originator of Zaman News TV commercial heralding the coup attempt on July 15th, hashtag Pizzagate. And this video, which I saw, has been censored since. And for further evidence that these people are all connected, you have an email here from John Podesta scheduling a meeting with David Brock where they have to discuss something in person. So I can't imagine what they were discussing here, but it probably can't be good. And another person that's definitely involved in this is the Susan Sandler lady who wrote the handkerchief email to John Podesta that caught everyone and made everyone go look for code words. And no one looked into Susan Sandler, but she's the one who actually wrote this handkerchief coded email. And Susan Sandler, as with many other people involved in this, turns out she's a teacher and involved in the education system. And I will show you throughout this video how many of these people have put themselves in the education system, which likely gives them access and authority over children. Prior to serving full-time as a funder in 2008, Sandler's career focused on advancing educational equity as an organizational leader, policy advocate, professional development provider, school therapist, teacher, and activist. So you can see here that this lady was actually a teacher and a therapist working closely with children, and she's directly connected to this because she's the one who wrote that creepy email. And I thought it was interesting to note who she had been giving grants to and what organizations she was tied to directly. So I went ahead and added this image to the screen here just to document that. As you can see here, the Albright group, therefore Madeleine Albright's also connected this through Carol Browner of the Albright group, who was emailing Podesta about pizza at Comet Ping Pong and fundraisers there. So it's another email proving all this. Now, as you can see here, all of these places are very close together, and I'm going to now go over the evidence that we believe, me and the other people investigating this, that these places are all connected via an underground tunnel system that might also be connected to other buildings in the DC area. So this is going to be a lot of speculation that needs to be investigated, but to me it looks like there is a tunnel system that's connected to this. So just for reference, here's a screenshot of Comet Ping Pong Pizza and Besta Pizza, just so you can see how close they actually are together. Two pizza joints literally right next to each other. You know, as evidence of work being done underground, this is one of the photos that Jimmy Comet posted on his Instagram page that got people to thinking that there was some sort of underground part of this complex. And you can see here they're obviously doing something underground, and you can see the ping pong table in the background, and this was posted on Jimmy Comet's Instagram. This is one of two photos that Jimmy Comet posted that indicate that they're doing underground construction at Comet Ping Pong Pizza. And I'd also like to note that that creepy individual working on my night cheese posted burying a body question mark on this image. And as Osbit Bank researched, none of these restaurants have any building permits in the reasonable past. So none of them have ever acquired a building permit to do any construction at all. And as you can see from this Google Street Map view I took, the McCullough Construction Company is directly to the left of Comet Pizza. So who is this McCullough Construction Company, and do they have any underground capabilities? So in the modern era, just like all companies, McCullough Construction LLC, the company right next to Comet Ping Pong, is a construction company, and it just so happens that one of the things they happen to specialize in is foundation and structural repair. So let's see if we can see them in action. So it turns out yes, and they have done lots of underground construction. And I would like to highlight this description: Red Roof Inn, Northwest Washington, D.C. Just near where they are, actually, because they're in Northwest Washington, D.C. A 10-story concrete building constructed 20 years ago underwent a major structural renovation, including over 100 micropiles drilled to an elevation of 30 feet below the existing foundations. So from right here in this description, we can see that these people do lots of work underground, deep underground, 30 feet underground, and they could easily have done underground construction for Comet Ping Pong, as they are located right next to Comet Ping Pong. So as you can see here, this is a picture of the White House tunnel system, and interestingly, one of the tunnels goes all the way out to Camp David. And more interestingly than that, when I went to Google Maps, and you go right by Besta Pizza and all the other pizza places, if you directly connect the White House to Camp David via walking on Google Maps, you can see the path here that you would walk to get from Washington, the White House, to Camp David. And it goes literally right down the street that Besta Pizza's on. So I just wanted to document, since there seems to be a connection to the Ordo Templi Orientis, the group affiliated with Aleister Crowley, how close the local OTO lodge was, at least the closest one I could find to Comet Ping Pong. And from my investigation, the closest OTO lodge is 37 miles away, which, during DC traffic could be 48 minutes or significantly longer. So there isn't one right down the street according to what I was able to find. However, what is right down the street is the Supreme Council of Freemasonry, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason building that's featured in books like The Lost Symbol with Dan Brown and all types of other books. It's just a very famous Freemasonic headquarters right in Washington, D.C. And, it's 3 miles away from Comet Ping Pong. And if you actually look at that White House tunnel map again, because it's straight up from the White House and then at a diagonal angle away from Comet Ping Pong, it could actually be connected to the tunnel system. One of the weirdest things I found was this Pizza Express in a former West Station platform that was abandoned and is now under DC in one of these abandoned tunnels. And that's interesting because a report from Hampstead, England, from children that suffered ritual satanic abuse connected to the higher-ups over there, also connected to a Pizza Express. And the Pizza Express connection came from this video from a Hampstead cover-up in England that this guy believed the children tweeted at me, and this has been linked up on the Steam It blog, and you should check out the Hampstead cover-up because I think it connects to all this somehow. And we know that there's a ton of tunnels in and around DC because of pictures like the Washington, White House tunnel system, and pictures like this one on the screen, which is a picture of one of the old abandoned tunnels under Washington, DC. Another restaurant I took a look at that would have to be involved in all this was Little Red Fox, which is right there, right next to, Comet Ping Pong Pizza. And they would likely have to be involved in this whole scheme, or else they'd probably be blowing the whistle. So here you can see it's owned by Jenna and Matt Carr, and they're from, California, and they seem to be sort of these, leftist, liberal type people, just like everyone else here involved with this. And basically, you know, there's nothing I can get out of this, but they do seem to have this strange fascination with foxes, and foxes are often used in, fur porn and weird crap like that you'll find on 4chan. And if you go to 4chan, you'll see what I mean. And they seem to have a daughter, which means they should be investigated and probably, be separated from that girl so she's not being abused. And this image right here to me on their Instagram is pretty damning. And I would suggest people go scour through the Little Red Fox Instagram, which is still publicly and open for investigation. And here you can see at the end of it, it's hashtag cheese, which is one of these big code words that everyone was talking about. So this looks like another piece of evidence. I mean, why would they be that psyched up about cheese? Come on now. And this is a picture of their own kid. This is absolutely disgusting. Another thing that connects them to this, just to double, confirm the Little Red Fox connection, was one of their big promotions of the year was a nasty woman cookie, which has the heart inside of a heart symbol, which is therefore on the FBI known pedophilia symbols list.
Just to give you an idea what the street view looks like, this is a view of Terrasol, which is across the street from Comet Ping Pong. And here you have Politics and Prose, which is also connected to all this. And notice the purple color, which is symbolic of the occult. And these people are listed right behind Elefantis at 50 on the GQ magazine list of most important people in DC, which I thought was interesting, to literally right behind Elefantis.
As we already discussed, Beyond Borders is right across the street and also displayed child pedophilia symbolism, and they need to be highly investigated because they could be involved in international human trafficking. Another person that needs to be investigated and is connected to all this is this Evie's Crib lady, who seems to be, putting ads up on the internet, for spending time with her children in the pool. And then there's this other comment, which is absolutely disgusting, where, Evie's Crib posts, "Evelyn is growing up. Soon she will be the queen of the entire USA. Right now, for a limited time only, you can spend some time with her online, raw and uncut." Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting. And why the hell are they posting this? Someone please go arrest this lady.
Another individual that needs to be highly investigated is this Kevin Reynolds individual. You can see with Bill Clinton right there, and you can see that the child in this image has some sort of, what looks like some sort of satanic, abuse happening to him, because that looks like a, symbol imprinted in, red bruises on that child's side. And this guy needs to be, highly investigated. Just two updates that were posted on DC Leaks and on Reddit. Update 1 is Best of Pizza officially changed their logo. Dr. Pong's site is hosted by the same admin that hosts CometPingPong.com. Dr. Pong's site, they advertise on a menu, "Sticky is a long, slow summertime fuck 10,000. Second update is 4chan, a whole bunch of people that were covering this were DDoS attacked. This began around the time they discovered two things. One, the images in Podesta WikiLeaks may contain hidden information through steganography. So far, we've not been able to extract the data, but it seems a promising lead. Many suspect if extracted, we would find the smoking gun child porn. Obviously, this is just speculation at this point. 2, the name Aaron Rao is connected through James Alefantis' Instagram. He works for the DOJ, and he is responsible for prosecuting human traffickers.
So you can see here this Rachel Chandler lady who's pictured with Bill Clinton, and she supposedly was putting up child pornography on her Tumblr account until it got taken down. And Rachel Chandler was also in one of the emails on Wikipedia. So when I went ahead and investigated this lady through Instagram, I found some very interesting things. If you wanted a rabbit hole, this lady's Instagram is going to lead us on one. And she has some very strange photos on her Instagram, especially considering what we already know about her. images like this one, where some sort of man is walking away with a very young child at what seems to be very late at night or very early in the morning, whatever, it's dark outside. And this just, it's a strange photo considering she's supposed to be a, recruiter of children for these people. Also on her Instagram are photos like this of, half naked children and stuff, which is just really strange. And these are supposedly her nephews and things. It's just really weird. And here's another reference on her thing to London, and it's also, in my opinion, another reference to the chicken farming, or the chicken lovers, as we talked about. So this is chicken farming. Is she farming for chickens for these people, for the chicken lovers? Is that what this photo's all about? Really interesting to me. Also on this Rachel Chandler's Instagram was this photo, and Frau Julie Wagner says, "You're really pushing it." And I don't know what this is, but this is probably some code or something, so I need someone to investigate and take a look at this. I thought it was interesting that this Rachel Chandler lady posted a picture of the NSA, and hey, you know what? NSA, why don't you decode that last image for me and actually do something for once instead of just spying on everyone? And this Rachel Chandler lady posted this picture and then, tagged this other person, Layla World, into the thing saying next season. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? So I decided to take a look at Layla World's, Instagram and see what she was all about. And what you're looking at on the screen is actually a human being. And this is, I don't know, guy, girl, whatever, Layla World. And notice, I thought it was interesting, the, cross of Lorraine right on its forehead. So that was interesting. And in this image here, and there was a lot of these, you can see Layla World or whatever making the one eye symbolism, and there was just a ton of one eye images. I just grabbed this one. And once again, this connects all back to the mask for mask thing that takes place on Halloween at Comet Ping Pong, because I guess what this is about, because someone wrote mask for mask right there in the comment section, and that's just really weird. Getting back to Rachel Chandler, this is another image I found on her Instagram that's just really kind of creepy in my opinion, and I don't even know what this is all about. And this was on Rachel Chandler's Instagram as well, and this is supposedly some Jack B individual, and I thought it was interesting that someone commented, "So many secrets," so think of that what you will. And this might be the creepiest photo I found on Rachel Chandler's thing, and this looks like a camera system for some sort of, I don't even know. Just look at the photos and tell me that's not extremely disturbing. And someone says a lot of bedrooms. I don't know what this is, but this looks like something really, really not good. Now, remember we had talked about oysters before? Now here's where we make that connection to the drugs and other things. Now, oysters are also connected to this Walter Pierce individual that Rachel Chandler has a business with, a modeling agency. And here you can see she's buying him quote unquote oysters for his birthday. So that's just interesting. And here's just another image on Rachel Chandler's thing of oysters. So you can see here that Rachel Chandler owns Midland Management and Casting with this Walter Pierce individual. And this is a really, really strange casting agency that looks like it targets transsexual young men and women, mainly men. And all of the images on their website I saw were basically of everyone half naked. And what you're looking at here is Mr. Walter Pierce, who's wearing a New World Order Russian Mafia shirt, and this is his profile avatar. Just to give you an example of the type of work that Midland Agency does, here's one of the images that's popular on their website and on his Instagram page. And this is brought to you by Rachel Chandler and Walter Pierce. An interesting thing I noticed is that a lot of these people like to take shots of cash, lots of cash, and Walter Pierce is another one of them, and here I took this photo as one of the examples because here he's covering one of his eyes and giving you the one eye symbolism. And here's another picture on Walter Pierce's Instagram page of a very young looking boy, and as you can see here, he has a website, and this is just really disturbing stuff. And I also noticed this connection between a lot of the people I saw and this thing called SS17. I have no idea what that is, but I just thought I'd mention it. And this was another really interesting photo I saw in here, and basically it was him showing a book about how to completely disappear and never be found again, and how to change identities. And that's just a really interesting thing for someone like this to be posting. And I did notice in a lot of his photos as well that he would be making the satanic hand sign that is common in a lot of Illuminati videos. So I just thought I'd point that out as well. And him being in Georgia is interesting considering types of rings and stuff that are connected to these types of people in Georgia. And another interesting thing I saw in a lot of these people's Instagrams in this little group is they have this weird fascination with blood. And in a lot of the photos on their Instagrams, you'll find that people have blood on them, and it's just very, very strange. Like this image from Walter Pierce's website, where all these people have blood and splattered on them and what looks like, a cross symbol, and that's just really, really strange and creepy.
Okay, so for another direct connection between this Walter Pierce guy and the Comet Ping Pong nightclub, check out this picture on his Instagram thing and notice the guy in the image on the bottom left and the tattoo that he has of the Star of Remphan, which looks like the Star of David, over a party boy wording. And if you look at the Comet Ping Pong Twitter page, they retweeted the Sasha Lord image of exactly that and this rapper Mickey Blanco. And Mickey Blanco, the guy that Walter Pierce is hanging out with, just so happens to be a verified person on Twitter and is followed by Comet Ping Pong. This is one of the people Comet Ping Pong follows. This Walter Pierce dude has a whole bunch of strange tattoos, like this El Chapo one that someone should probably take a look at that understands tattoo symbolism. Thought this was an interesting photo considering the chicken lovers code word stuff where he put cooking the turkey, though I'm usually cooking chickens, and I just thought that was really a strange coincidence. And then this dude had this really strange image of a seagull committing cannibalism, and that was pointed out by this Jessica Zwu character. So I decided to take a look at Jessica Zwu because this was a really strange image. And this is Jessica Zwu, and you can instantly see here from her, Instagram page that one of her photos is of the all-seeing eye, and she had a whole bunch of those where it was one eye blocked out, and you can see in this also cash and pizza. And this Jessica Zwu lady is another one of these artsy types people that post pictures like this, where they're doing these really strange things and wearing these white masks. And I don't know what SS17 is, but here's another pic tagging it. And as she made the comment about the cannibalism, I was looking through her thing, looking for, examples of that, and of course I found a whole bunch of pictures where a human was the main course on the menu. And just another image from her thing at the SS17 thing backstage, and I just thought that might be an interesting image to show everyone and the type of weird crap that this lady has on her Instagram page. So getting back to Walter Pierce, remember the Podesta thing and the Marina Abramovich thing where you're supposed to cut the middle finger of your left hand, and that's what you see here on this Walter Pierce image where his middle finger on his left hand is cut, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do, and that just connects him right back to all this, and I thought that was an interesting image I found. Another weird thing was this guy that he had posted pictures with early in his Instagram career, this, Goshan Rybczynski guy who always poses with one eye symbolism in the photos with this kid. And this Rubchinsky guy is another one of these weird individuals. And here's another picture with Rubchinsky making the one eye symbolism. So I decided to take just, a quick look at who this Rubchinsky guy was. And I didn't find much other than, he has a website, and there he has art like this, which is, some strange art considering the types of people that he's connected to. It's not that strange, I guess, but, this is a child pedophile and human cannibalist ring. Here's another really weird photo on this Walter Pierce's guy's thing, and it's another reference to oysters, and it looks like someone has physically abused this kid or something, but this is just a really weird image to me, and it's chucked 24 oysters. So according to the first comment he posted with this image, this is his kid. Now, I don't see how that's possible, and this is the only photo of his kid on his Instagram, if that is actually his kid. And at the bottom of this, he says, feeling like Mira Gons with this kid, with this baby, and then Mira Gons laughed, so I had to look at who Mira Gons was. So of course, instantly with this hipster, you get another person displaying satanic symbolism and, the one eye symbolism, so I just thought that was relevant. And when you know it, this lady is a fan of Marina Abramovich, and she got an advance reader's copy of this book. So there you go. Here's another connection to Marina Abramovich, and this is just further confirmation that this lady, Mira Gons, is connected to all of this. Once again, it's another person who has a fascination with posting pictures of blood on themselves or other people. And here, boom, maybe this is the lady that gets the, oxycodone for Walter Pierce, because here you can see she's posting a picture of hydrocodone. So maybe this is the source of the oysters, and she has tons of pictures with drugs and referencing drugs on her Instagram. Just for example, this photo here with pills in the background. And just for good measure, here's another one. I don't know why, but I just thought this was a creepy photo on her Instagram feed. Here's another extremely creepy image on this Mira Gons lady's Instagram, and I don't know what this is all about, but this is extraordinarily creepy. Mira Gons has images like this one on her Instagram, which are quite disturbing considering what she's connected to, and I can't even imagine what this is all about. And here you have a picture of Mira Gons posting a sex doll, and she says it smells like childhood, which is very strange considering she's connected to a pedophile ring. And here you go with this individual. Once again, this is Walter Pierce, therefore connecting Mira Gons and Walter Pierce is connected to all this through Rachel Chandler. Then she posts pictures like this of a cheese pizza, which, of course, according to the code, and she puts life is suffering. So life is suffering a cheese pizza. So do you understand the code that's being spoken here? And obviously, I went and looked at the guy who commented on the cheese pizza photo, and it happens to be this guy. This Jordan Castro is president individual that you see on the screen right now. And I thought this was an interesting photo where he's eating pizza, and someone commented, it looks like you would tell a 14-year-old that you can relate to them and want to help them understand their bodies. And yeah, why would you be making that comment? And this guy just screams of creepiness to me and should be investigated. As you can see here, this is the other types of things that this Jordan Castro individual is interested in. You can see drugs, shit dogs, whatever that is, Adderall, kill cops, great individual. And I'd also like to point out he had an image like this on his Instagram, and not only is it creepy that this guy has a picture of a baby on his Insta, but that baby should not be drinking that crap that it's holding. That's absolutely disgusting. Now, I don't know what this is all about, but this is another creepy image on Mira Gons' Instagram that I thought I would share with everybody. And then this lady is connected to a, child pedophile and human trafficking ring that has a funny conversation to post on her Instagram, wouldn't you say? Babies are for stealing. Ha ha ha. People gotta stop being so uptight about their babies. Just let me have it. It's fine. Like, literally fine. Everyone needs to calm down about it. What are these people talking about? Another thing on this lady's public Instagram is here where she's talking to some guy named Alex, where he's talking about, masturbating. And then she replies, I saw 50 Shades of Grey and cut myself while listening to the new Drake album. And now, the creepiest part about this Mira Gons lady that I have to get to and needs to be investigated is the fact that she's connected to a whole bunch of small children. Here's one image that needs to be thoroughly investigated. She posted this and then she put some sort of scrambled message next to this image. I was unable to decipher what that message might be. However, I'm sure someone can, and please leave comments and someone try to figure out what this is about. And then there's another image of another young girl at a pool and just screams of something wrong here. And then you have another young girl and she puts next to it important business emails. Is that a joke, or what's really going on here? Why are they posting stuff like this? Another really disturbing image was this one where this girl is pointing at a screen showing girl dies in drowning, and the girl looks just like her, and that's just really, really creepy. And the grand finale on this lady's Instagram for me was this image here with pizza in the foreground and a small girl in the background. And the comment is, turn the fuck up this Saturday night. For what exactly? Just to show you how deep this rabbit hole goes when you start investigating all this stuff, from Rachel Chandler to Walter Pierce. This is another friend of Walter Pierce, and I thought this was a very strange photo on their account as well. So there's so many people to investigate that we really do need like a whole department of people investigating this with actual authority, so they can go out and arrest people when they actually find out the truth about some of these innuendos people are making on Instagram. I mean, just going over all the people I covered in my first video, like this Victoria Lynn Race, who's another one of these Illuminati all-seeing eye showing people, and all their connections, such as her connection to her lover Brian Baker, but also her connection directly to James Alefantis, as you can see from this photo posted to Victoria Lynn Race's Instagram account. This is Jimmy Comet, James Alefantis, at her house cooking dinner. So she's directly connected to this individual. And these people post all their connections, and you can see here she got this book, Alice in Wonderland, which is a famous book, but it also has very occult significance, from her lover, Brian Baker's. And I went through Brian Baker's Instagram, and all I could find that is he is another Satanist and works with a band called Bad Religion. And this Brian Baker's guy should be absolutely investigated, and his band Bad Religion should be boycotted until this is all cleared up. And here's another interesting photo on Victoria Lynn Race's Instagram of what's called the Lobster Lady, and it looks like a dead corpse, and just really strange photo. And this was for Transformer DC, which is one of these groups they're all connected to. And another thing is she follows this group Wild Taurus, and this Wild Taurus artist posts some really creepy images on their Instagram account, and we'll just go through them. Like this one you're looking at here, which looks like some sort of satanic ritual. Another weird ritualistic looking photo that was on Wild Taurus's Instagram is this one, and you can see what looks like the chakras are painted on that guy's back, which looks like a corpse, or I don't even know. Just weird photo. Probably the creepiest photo on Wild Taurus's Instagram was this one of, a human jawbone, and someone commented on the previous video that this looks modern, and I would agree. And these people should be investigated. And Victoria Lynn Race also follows this individual, Witch Trials, who has human sacrifice written on her profile, and someone should investigate this account as well. And another person connected to all this is this Instapatgram guy, and he displays the one eye symbolism. He follows Jimmy Comet's Pizza, so he's directly connected to James Alefantis. And you can see here he puts up lots of images like this one, which show lots of satanic symbolism. And in what seems to be a recurring theme, this individual happens to be a teacher at Salford Lads Club. So whoever is, in charge of Salford Lads Club should investigate this Instapatgram individual. Here's just another post by Instapatgram that you can read for yourself. Just pause the video and you can see that this guy clearly is into Satanism. And this Instapatgram guy also posted this movie called Wisconsin Death Trip, which also has a book, and in the movie I guess it's just full of images of dead children and dead bodies, and it's just a really gross movie, and this is a cult classic for really sick people. Another person highly connected to all this because of who they follow, including the Jimmy Comet Instagram account and a lot of the other Instagram accounts and people who follow them and all that. So this Night Gallery, another person whose avatar is the one eye symbolism, and here you can see what I think is a clear showing that this is connected to the walnut code I talked about earlier, which is the young female genitalia. You can see it's right under the image of a young girl on the wall. And as you can see here, this Night Gallery seems to have a weird fascination with walnuts, which we know is code. So I just thought that was interesting because it was all over their Instagram. This is another really interesting post, and this one is titled Yum Yum Donuts. And this looks like really weird crap going on, possibly even, some sort of cannibalism, or I don't even know. But to title this Yum Yum Donuts is just really strange. And here's the individual that runs the Night Gallery account, and she's another one of these crazy liberal leftists, just the future is female feminist, down with men nonsense, who probably was voting for Hillary just because Hillary was a female and she's connected to all these, pedophile rings and all this gross crap. And on her account is another connection to London, and you can see here one of the members of the royal family holding flowers in front of a small girl. So, and it says on it, Simmies, and she comments, "Don't look a gift horse in the mouth." And I just thought that was an interesting photo that I would add to this documentary because this lady's connected to this pedophile ring. And extremely interestingly, this reminds me of the pizza guy shop's photo of that empty, kill room they were all talking about. But this one, it looks like they have a child chained up, and this is supposed to be art. And you can see, always terrifying and sad in the comment sections. And this right here to me is extremely creepy. And if you call this art, then there's something wrong with you. Okay? This looks exactly like, a kid chained up in some sort of I don't even want to just look at this. Like, this is art. A kid chained up in some sort of weird empty torture looking room. What the hell is wrong with you people? Here's another extremely strange one because the lady puts beauties and then 3 roses, and it's an image of a small girl. And roses in the prostitution rings mean dollars, used mostly as a euphemism in prostitution circles, sometimes also referred to as flowers. An example, her ad said that a donation of 100 roses would be required for, and I don't know what that is, but you get the gist. So that brings us back to this image. So when she puts roses next to this little girl, is that some sort of code for people to know that, this girl's for sale or some creepy thing like that? This needs to be investigated. And the last photo we'll cover on Night Gallery's Instagram is this one, where it looks like 2 small children are doing something they shouldn't be doing. And this is art to this lady as well. So this entire thing is just totally creepy, and Night Gallery needs to be investigated by somebody. And just real quick, another one of these people I saw commenting on one of the Jimmy Comet Instagram images was this person, Everybody's Daughter, who I checked and follows Jimmy Comet. And on their Instagram, I only found one image worth sharing, and just noticed the profile with the single eye shot again, but this image here just looked really creepy, and I thought I'd add it to this documentary so people could research this account closer.
Just to go back over some of the Instagram people I found from the first video, and please go back and watch that first video again. But this Julian Traeger guy seems to be highly connected to Jimmy Comet because he was the #1 suggested feed. And just notice his one eye symbolism in his avatar. So another one of the people I investigated and found out who they were was C. Bootlier, also Bootlier, who was commenting all over some of the creepiest photos on Jimmy Comet's Instagram page and had a private Instagram account. Well, it turns out the rest of this guy's social media accounts aren't private. So he's Christopher Bootlier of, the Washington, D.C. area, and he's into design. The C. Bootlier guy also has a MySpace account, which is just a joke. I never had a MySpace account, but whatever. And on there, on his MySpace account, he has one photo, and it looks like he's in some sort of weird S&M stuff, and he's making, of course, the one eye symbolism again. So this guy is someone I would absolutely 100% investigate. And here again is the C. Bootlier guy at some Nigel Barker book party, and he's obviously, another one of these people on the scene in DC, and here he is in Washington Magazine. And I would like to highly point out that this guy needs to be investigated because he's one of the people posting some of the creepiest comments on Jimmy Comet's Instagram page. Another person I saw commenting on Jimmy Comet's Instagram and, had his private account now was his name is Andy Guy, and on here it says, "You're only one shirtless pic away from being Instagram famous." Well, guess what? Word to the wise, his name is Andy. When you're commenting creepy crap on Jimmy Comet's Instagram page, you're only one comment away from being YouTube famous for being connected to a pedophilia ring. And wouldn't you know it, this Andrew James Castillo, his name is Andy, actually has a Facebook account. And on his Facebook account, his photos just don't happen to be private. That's too bad. Now they're in my YouTube video. And I hope people investigate this person because his comments on Jimmy Comet's Instagram make him highly implicated. This Andrew James Castillo, who lives near Comet Ping Pong and seems to frequent it quite often, went and posted this picture of his friend Ryan O'Laughlin basically making love to chicken, and we already know that chicken lovers is code for pedophilia, so I thought that was an interesting photo to have on his account. Then there's this creepy photo where these two are driving around saving the children, supposedly, with these masks on, and that's just a very interesting photo to be on this guy's account, especially considering this photo and one of the comments by a Phil Evans, quote unquote, "Did you steal it?" And it makes you kind of wonder what Andrew James Castillo is doing at night driving around saving the children supposedly in a mask. And just to prove to all of you that I actually went ahead and did the research on all this lady, this Charlotte D. Carchachi lady, does actually follow Jimmy Comet. So do these other people I say do. Like, if you go and you do the research yourself, you can just go ahead and look, and you can see right there in the middle of the screen, she follows Jimmy Comet. So if I say someone does, I actually went and looked, and they do. And as I noted, it's another one of these artsy type DC locals that's involved in the media and the art scene, and she's got the one eye symbolism up as her avatar. So, there's a clear connection here between all these people. Just rolling along on the theme of people I found that left interesting comments to investigate, this Wyatt F. Boyd guy left one talking about, all these different things in here. It's just a really weird comment to me, and he brings up pizza and the giant Comet oven, and I guess oven's another code word, and it's just really interesting. And he talks about he's been living nearby it for 5 years and he goes there all the time. So I would ask this guy some questions if I was an investigator. Obviously there's a ton of comments on the Google Plus page for Comet Ping Pong and all the other businesses, and their Yelp pages, and everyone should go there and leave comments warning other people not to go there, but also to investigate the people that left really good reviews saying they, absolutely loved the food or absolutely hated it or made references to any of these code words. And people like this Clint Law guy at the top here should be investigated. So as Comet Ping Pong has a Twitter account, I thought it would be worth investigating purposes to go ahead and take a screenshot of every person that Comet Ping Pong follows on Twitter. So I went ahead and did that. I'm going to show all those to you now, and I'm not going to read out every one of them. And I feel this is important evidence because this is who Comet Ping Pong actually follows. Okay? This isn't who follows them. And since this whole story broke, a whole bunch of people investigating them joined their followers list. So documenting all their followers and trying to weed out the investigators from people that were following before is going to be almost impossible. But we can go ahead and look at all the people they follow, and I highly doubt they've been adding people who have been investigating them to this list. And this means any of these people could actually, if they followed them back, could actually, directly message them and private message Comet Ping Pong. So all of these people should be likely investigated, especially if they show similar symbology on their accounts. And honestly, as these play across the screen, I'm just going to play them after I finish speaking. If you see any that you think deserve further investigation, please go ahead and investigate any of these accounts. And I went ahead and investigated some of these accounts, and I also questioned some other ones. But basically, go ahead and just take note of all these people that Comet Ping Pong followed, because any one of them could be involved in this whole thing. I did find it interesting that Comet Ping Pong followed so many journalists, especially journalists in the DC area, like this Samantha Grider lady, or Greeter, and I decided to go ahead and ask her why Comet Ping Pong might be following her on Twitter, and I got no response. So, not even like oh, I don't know, but nothing. Just no response at all. And I know she saw my tweet, because she basically has the same amount of followers as I do. Here's another interesting tweet from the Comet Ping Pong Twitter account, and this is for their Mask for Mask Halloween event, and that looks like vampiric activity, or, at least that's what this ad would lead you to believe, and that's just really, really strange and really, really gross. Another image that was on their Comet Ping Pong Twitter is this one, where they were wishing Alex McCracken a big happy birthday, and, this is obviously a picture of the staff or the people who work at Comet Ping Pong. And there you go. Here's an image of all the people working there that have to be investigated. And, with all the facial recognition technology, I'm sure a law enforcement agency could track every one of these people down. So there you go. Go investigate all these people, please. Obviously, you can also look at what Comet Ping Pong tweets out, and one of the things they retweet and tweet about all the time is the Sasha Lords Presents, and the Sasha Lord lady is obviously very strange, and you can see here for some of the art, it displays the Illuminati eye throughout the image, and it says, pleasure curses and stronger sex. So obviously this is, very creepy, and it's also been compared to Jeffrey Dahmer's type of art. And here you have the Sasha Lord Presents Twitter account, and that's still online and public and still available for investigators to dig through and find anything they can. One of the events they tweeted about a lot that they hold is this very strange Mask for Mask event at Comet Ping Pong on Halloween, and another person that's very highly implicated in all this is this summer camp individual, Miss Summer Camp, this transsexual or cross-dresser, whatever, that attends or performs there all the time. And you can see here, this is the summer camp Twitter page, and it's just very strange, and if you go through it, you'll see all types of strange crap. Also, it must be noted that for Sasha Lord's birthday, this Amanda Kleinman, known as Majestic 8, performed at Comet Ping Pong and made references to pedophilia as a joke in the performance. And when you go online and find one of her music videos, you can clearly see in the video that she makes another joke, this Majestic 8 person, to pedophilia in that music video. And I would have uploaded those videos as part of this documentary, just the clips of her saying that stuff, but there's been DCMA violations handed out for it, so I can't do that, so that we don't risk losing all this other information due to a copyright strike. And this is just another example where YouTube censorship has gone completely out of control, and now DMCA notices are being used to help child pedophiles hide their actions in their videos. I also found it interesting that one of the people following, Comet Ping Pong, and Comet Ping Pong followed them back, was following the FBI investigation into the emails. Other account that I saw that Comet Ping Pong tweets and retweets a lot from is this Avaluna group, and you can see right here, at Avaluna group is in there with, Comet Ping Pong and Sasha Lord Presents, so you can go and look at the Avaluna group's Twitter page. And this right here is the Avaluna Twitter page, and I don't know what this whole thing's about. It looks like a sleepover party for adults or some sort of weird thing, but I have no idea what this is all about, but they definitely deserve investigation. Another one I saw a lot on there was this adult mom band, and I decided to take a look at their account as well. And this adult mom band is another strange looking lady who seems to be into all types of weird crap, and she's connected to all this, and she performs a lot at Comet Ping Pong with Sasha Lord and all these people, so she's highly connected to all this. And it just so happens that when you go through her tweets, that this adult mom person turns out to be a teacher dealing with 4-year-olds, and I would highly suggest that you get her away from anyone that young. And here's just another tweet that Comet Ping Pong retweeted by this Anthony Rodriguez guy. And, there's just so many rabbit holes to investigate off of their Twitter account that serious team of researchers could spend like a month looking at this stuff. Just another really interesting tweet by Comet Ping Pong to this Tyler Green DC individual, and I couldn't figure out what this was about, but considering what Comet Ping Pong's involved with, this could have very bad implications. Another really strange account I found that follows Comet Ping Pong and Comet Ping Pong follows him back is this one. And this guy says, "Does anyone have a human skeleton I can borrow? I'm serious. Message me. #ArtSchool." So I would investigate this individual as well. And another person that Comet Ping Pong follows and follows Comet Ping Pong back is this girl, and she happens to be a mom, which is very creepy. And right on her profile, it has you over yes and pizza. That's what the rest of that word actually says. Another interesting trend I found on Comet Ping Pong was they posted every time they had a private party. So someone should probably cross-reference this versus people's travel schedules to see who might have been there for these private parties, to see if it was any of these people like Podesta or Hillary or Obama, because they posted all these dates and when they're actually going to be closed for these private parties they had. And just to confirm that you can actually rent the whole place out, I found this on the Comet Ping Pong website, and the end of it reads, "You can even rent out the whole restaurant. We are open to all ideas, of course. Be sure to give us some details to get started, like preferred date time and type of party, kids, adults, or a mix of both. Email us." Really creepy, isn't it? Kids, adults, or a mix of both for your party. That's just really strange way to put it, considering what they're involved in. Another person that needs to be highly investigated is this Kim Noble lady who made images like this and is tied to satanic ritual abuse in her childhood, and clearly shows what looks to me like an adult having sex with a smaller individual on top of a handkerchief, and we've already covered the handkerchief code, and her other murals throughout the restaurant are absolutely disturbing. Another extremely important connection found here is this Aaron Rao guy who works as a human trafficking prosecutor for the Department of Justice, and this guy has uncovered child pedophilia and pornography in the past, and this guy is highly connected to all this because he's friends with Jimmy Comet, and he's connected through Instagram and a whole bunch of other things, and it's just very, very strange that this guy would be connected to this since he's supposed to be investigating this. As you can see here, this is exactly what Aaron Rao does, and we found this all in his LinkedIn profile, and someone posted it on 4chan, and this guy needs to be highly investigated and likely kicked out of the Department of Justice. This is why nothing's been done, because people like this are connected to this. I'd also like to thank Comet Ping Pong, because on their stupid website they listed all their friends with links to their organizations. So you can see here all the organizations that should be investigated as part of this because they're linked. And right on there is Media Matters because of David Brock. And that's why I haven't heard anything about this in the media, because all of the media takes their marching orders from Media Matters, and Media Matters won't cover a crime they're involved in.
Just another quick note, an interesting email I found in my search for all this information was from Truth Out to, the Podestas, and talking about how, they can make out their check to them to make sure they get the truth out. Interestingly, one of the biggest reviews for this place came from Guy Fieri, and that's just really strange, and he had a clam pizza, and you can obviously see the connotation there. In this article on Guy Fieri's take on Comet Ping Pong, Guy Fieri says, "Okay, so I'll tell you a story about Comet Ping Pong. So I'm standing there with this guy and we're cooking, and he's got a pizza oven that he bought the parts in Italy, and he constructed the pizza oven himself. He sits there and he says, 'Okay, I'm going to make you a clam pizza,' and my mouth is watering right now as I'm telling you this. It was one of the greatest pizzas. It's up in the top pizzas I've ever had. We got done, and I walked outside of Comet Ping Pong. I called up my buddy that does all my restaurant supplies, and I said, 'Hey, you find me a wood-fired oven and not one of those gas-assisted ones. I want a real deal out of Italy wood-fired oven.' I think it was probably 3 months later I installed my first wood-fired oven in my house. And now I have 3 wood-fired ovens. You have 3 wood-fired ovens at your house? Well, I have one at my house, one at my ranch, and one on the trailer that I use for charity events. And in this statement, you can find all types of references to the code words we've been talking about. Oven is supposed to mean that there's something being omissed. I guess that's a clue to, information being omissed from this. And, the pizza thing, the greatest pizza ever. This Guy Fieri guy needs to be investigated as part of this. Another really interesting review that I thought could use some further investigation into this Jeff Barsky guy. Best pizza in the city. I am here once a week. Okay, so, and the staff is the coolest. And he also mentions the bookstore a few doors down. Okay, this guy probably needs to be investigated. Another lady that I looked into that Comet Ping Pong retweeted, Katie Skinnerer. I'm sad that I live so far away from Comet Ping Pong. Hashtag I love pizza. Of course, this Katie Skinnerer, who loves Comet Ping Pong pizza, also has found a new pizza place called Hideaway Life in Washington State. And she goes, pizza, love, hashtag Hideaway Life. And of course, what does Katie do for work? She's a teacher, of course. What do teachers do on fall break? Eat at Hideaway Pizza, of course. Love pizza. And that's just disturbing and continues on with the connection of teachers and this pizza ring. And because the truther movement is absolutely awesome at some things, they've been truth bombing all these people that reviewed Comet Ping Pong, as you can see here. And I'd love for people to keep doing that and use this documentary to do that as well. Share this information as much as you can and warn as many people on these companies' business reviews and things like that, because the power of the people is the way to take these people down. If we create a large enough firestorm, it'll force the authorities into investigating all this, and it'll force these people to admit that they were connected to what is a very shady pedophile ring, possibly pedosadist ring, and likely cannibalism and other types of human sacrifice and things like that going on here. Someone needs to do a full investigation of this place. A place that has, according to some of the reviews, hidden behind secret panels and just things like that. Like, this place just screams of something else going on here. And someone really does need to investigate. We need to force the authorities to go in and open the secret panels. It's going to be up to us to do this because the establishment is, covering all these crimes up and trying to hide this and using all of their positions within law enforcement and other things that are compromised in order to do this. And this is normally done so that the powers that be can have blackmail over these politicians and these highly influential people that attend these pedophile rings and pedosadist rings and cannibalism rings. And they do it so they can blackmail them. And these people aren't allowed into positions of power without doing this type of stuff, so that the powers that be, the international banksters, have complete control over our political system. And like always, those most vulnerable in the system are those who suffer, children who need our protection. So the only way we can get any justice for them is to continue investigating this ourselves, posting all the evidence we can find. Other researchers need to join and keep, investigating this and, back up all the information that I showed in this video and, try to prove it wrong or try to prove it right and do your own research. Don't believe anything I said. We need other people to investigate this. We need people with law enforcement authority to investigate this. We need other researchers to investigate this. And cheers to everyone who's helped already. And those who know about this type of stuff right now are a minority of the public. But it doesn't take a majority to prevail. It takes an irate, tireless minority keen to set brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. And we need to keep doing that. We need to keep spreading the message. We need to keep telling people about this information. Everyone who shares this video wakes another person up. Everyone who sees this video that doesn't know about this wakes another person up. For if we woke everyone up to this information, the average person would be on our side. And I quote, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And there are far more good people on this earth that would not put up with this type of sick behavior by the elites and by members of our society. And if the average person knew what was going on, they would be standing there right beside us, demanding an investigation into these things. And that's what we need. So the most important thing to do now is to continue the research and to share this information so that the average person wakes up and understands what's going on. Then we can all band together and take down these elite once and for all. So do not fear, because there's a lot more of us than there